Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with marble potatoes. That's right, these little baby new potatoes used to only be available to the fancy chefs, but lately I've been seeing these at the market. And by the way, if you have both a fishnet stocking and potato fetish, this video is for you. So we're going to roast these potatoes, but because they're so small, we're not going to use the oven. We're going to roast them in a pan with bacon. I know that does sound good, so let's get started. So I have a 1 pound bag of what's called tricolored marble potatoes. We got the red, we got the gold, and we got what I believe is Peruvian purple. So I'm going to dump those in a bowl. We're going to give those a really good rinse. All right, give them a scrub if you have to, but they're generally pretty clean. And then as promised, we're going to roast these in a pan with bacon. So I'm going to throw a handful of sliced bacon into a dry saute pan on medium heat. And I'm just going to give it a few minutes head start. We just want it to start rendering out a little bit of that fat. So just let it go for a couple minutes. And when you see it start to sizzle, go ahead and dump in your drained marble potatoes. Oh, and by the way, for you young viewers, marbles were little glass balls that our grandparents played with because they didn't have video games. It was a tough life. And then along with that, we're going to add a big pinch of salt and a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. And we're going to give that a stir. And then here's what's going to happen. We're going to continue cooking this on medium heat. The bacon's going to eventually slowly crisp up, and as it does, it's going to release fat, and those little potatoes are going to roast just with the heat coming from the surface of the pan. So we're really taking advantage of the size here to use a different method. So I'm going to cook that stirring occasionally for about 5 or 6 minutes until my bacon sort of starts to look like it's getting cooked. It's going to look something like that. And at that point, I'm just going to throw on the lid, and I'm going to let that cook for about 5 minutes. I'm going to remove the lid, I'm going to give it a stir, and I'm going to repeat that process until the potatoes are tender. And even though all the fat's going to render out of the bacon and it's going to start getting crispy, because we're going to keep putting the lid back on, moisture is going to be retained and condensation will drip into the pan, and you won't have to worry about the bacon burning or the potatoes burning. It should be fine. So keep taking the lid off, checking it, giving it a stir, and you'll actually feel with your spatula or spoon, the potatoes will start to soften up. So a very simple procedure. You're just going to roast those potatoes in that bacon fat until they're tender. And how will you know? You're going to test with the tip of a knife. So I gave mine the old poka, and it was tender. And instead of throwing it back in, I ate it to give it a taste. And I decided it needed a little more salt and a little pepper. And then this is pretty much ready to eat and would be incredibly delicious. But wait, there's more. We're going to add a nice dusting of freshly chopped rosemary. Never not awesome with bacon and potatoes. And then we're going to turn the heat off. And we're going to drizzle in a little bit of rice vinegar into that hot pan. Again, the heat's off, and most of that's going to evaporate right away as you're stirring it, but that's okay. It's going to deglaze the pan a little bit, and it's going to make everything go a little sticky and slightly more awesome. So just give that a quick stir, and then transfer to your serving platter. Now, I'm showing this as a hot potato side dish, but if you wanted to go full potato salad with this, just dump in a big splash of your favorite salad dressing, give it a toss with those warm potatoes, and once it cools down, you would have one of the best potato salads ever. And above and beyond a great hot and or cold side dish, these would also be perfect for that pretend we're giants dinner party. So there's another idea. And then we'll finish off with a little rosemary sprig, you know, in case any food bloggers show up. And start to finish, that whole pan roasting thing only took about 20-25 minutes. So it didn't take that long, and I thought the results were very, very delicious and beautiful. And it's funny, you don't really think of potatoes as being flavorful, but because these are so small, they really do have more of a root vegetable flavor than a big potato. And of course, these will be easier for you to eat because you're not looking at a viewfinder. But eventually I stabbed it, and it was delicious. So I'm not sure if it's just a springtime thing or if these are going to be available other times of the year. But if you can find some or some other kind of little new potatoes, I hope you give this easy technique a try. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.